call to action for accelerating gender parity and the celebration of women's achievements, Cameroonian women fed the International Day of the Woman in reflections in the absence of a parade. Ousting the coronavirus pandemic from public administrations is a Herculean task. Between the consciousness on the dangers of the virus and the disregard for barrier measures, the 7:30 News investigates tonight. The first contingent of 500 Nigerian refugees begin their journey back home from the far north region. They leave with memories of Cameroon's hospitality and President Paul Biya's grants for a fresh start. Good evening and thanks for joining us. Happy Women's Day. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 News.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
Welcome back. The contributions of women to social, economic, cultural and political advancements are being celebrated today on the occasion of the International Women's Day. Void of the usual colorful parade due to restrictions imposed by the coronavirus pandemic, most women clad in the March 8 fabric went about their professional and social activities in a low-key manner. Cynthia Saptala reports on the atmosphere that reigned in Yaoundé today.
Yaoundé's 20th May Avenue, first time it displayed this atmosphere on a March 8th, an empty tribune with vehicles driving freely down the lane instead of women in their colorful attires. However, in the heart of town, a few were seen in their special gowns, either heading to the office or going about their business.
We will only do what's necessary. You can at least wear a nice dress today to the office.
One of them was 3-year-old Chloe, whose mother taught that despite the health challenges that has imposed some changes in the usual celebrations, it was still important to make her feel special.
It reminds us of the value of a woman, and I needed her to be reminded of that.
Others chose to commemorate the event in another manner. This time, it was less about wearing the fabric and celebrating with friends and focusing more on the battles yet to be won for gender equality.
It means a lot to me, on the contrary, from a different perspective. Reinforcing rights, giving women more, in fact, singling out women's issues and trying to deal with them.
2021's International Day of the Woman in Yaoundé looked like this. It would seem that the celebrations took on another form.
Raising awareness to the importance of women's equality in the domestic and public spheres was spotlighted today at a press conference in the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family. Minister Marie-Thérèse Abena-Ondoa underscored women's leadership role and their participation in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Alice Mbe has the details.
Declaring open celebrations of the International Women's Day under the context of the COVID-19, the minister laid emphasis on the wearing of face masks, respect of barrier measures, and the reflect on women's leadership related to this year's theme, Leadership Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World.
The March past, by which we usually close the events marking this day, as well as many other activities of strong mobilization, have been purely and simply cancelled. Women's leadership must be enhanced through the capacity building of women, the protection of their rights, the promotion of peace.
Women empowerment boards equally use the occasion to sensitize women on their role as mothers.
Women ensure the protection of children, instilling in them the hygiene rules and wearing of facial masks, necessary to fight against coronavirus. In communities, women demonstrate skills of the making of facial masks.
The press conference was marked by the presence of the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malashi, the Secretary General at the Ministry of Communications, Professor Felix Zogo, and members from other ministries.
Although the Cameroonian woman missed the pomp that often characterized the Women's Day, our newsroom is sparing no efforts to highlight the rights, privileges and achievements of women. What will the world be without women? There is no limit to what women can accomplish. In the following verses, Bo Bena Fonkamuta honors the Cameroonian woman.
When we first met, I was an unthinking soul. You were already a hero, birthing me. I sucked in air and cried. Forgetting your own pain, you comforted and promised to always keep me out of the rain. Growing up, I literally clung to you for everything. Food, shelter, safety, comfort, direction. Selflessly, you provided more than you had. You never faltered. Your love fountain never ran dry. Before becoming a mother, you were a sister, picking me up after each playground fall. There were days of misunderstanding, but never disloyalty nor betrayal. More than once, you have bailed me out. Together, we learned the alphabet and maths, sharing moments and dreams. Together, we are stronger, indomitable. After leaving home, I felt a little bit lost, but you never left my side. Once I was ready, I met girlfriend, then fiancé, and eventually wife. It is now clear you may change name, size, shape, form, or age, but you remain that companion, the perfect travel mate. I have not always returned your sincerity. I have not always deserved your trust. In the house, workplace, taxi, on campus, street corner, I have failed you. To err is human. Forgive my trespasses. March affords me a second chance to right the wrongs of the past, to bow my head down in shame. Despite my selfish naughtiness, I know how much respect I owe you. And I must transmit that respect and admiration to our sons and daughters. Wherever the road leads, I know I can always count on you. My friend, my sister, my wife, my mother, my first and last hero. This experience would never be the same without you. Happy Women's Day.
After that beautiful tribute to women, let's now talk about the coronavirus pandemic, which is still lurking as more and more asymptomatic cases freely walk the streets without knowing their status. To curb the spread in the school milieu, the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, has ordered the systematic screening of pupils and instructors for COVID-19 and the presentation of valid coronavirus results. Iwane Pole reports on how the health drive will function.
Secondary Education Ministry is organizing the health drive to ensure the rapid result COVID-19 test available in secondary schools.
La politique du Clean School.
The Clean School campaign and Zero COVID-19 in secondary education institutions aim at limiting the spread of the disease in the school milieu.
Qui doit être sain.
School nurses are expected to be trained for that purpose.
L'accompagnement technique va commencer à ce niveau.
The Minister of Public Health is expected to give technical assistance by training the nurses of health centers in schools for the exercise.
On ait quelque chose de concerté.
In line with routine infection control practice, close contacts of those who will be identified as confirmed cases will need to self-isolate.
Donc chaque mois, on va tester les enseignants.
The COVID-19 screening testing of students and teachers will be organized once a month.
S'il est de 31 et 32,
these will help reduce the risks of transmission. Education officials say testing is only being introduced in the school milieu as a complement to the primary countermeasures such as physical distancing and good hand hygiene.
As we announced in one of our top stories, respecting COVID-19 barrier measures in some public administrations is still a challenge. Masks have become an accessory to people who prefer masking down, while in certain areas there is simply a display of empty dispensers. Yoti Kalilisong reports that this notwithstanding, some administrations are still living up to expectations in the COVID-19 struggle.
An effort to sink his teeth into government's COVID-19 barrier measures is met with a futile hand-washing attempt as he finds out this wash basin is a mere decoration. While some mask up before accessing this public administration, others are carefree. Ironically, people are asked to disinfect their hands, whereas the hand sanitizer dispensers are empty. But it's not all laissez-faire. At this other ministry, respecting barrier measures is a must, even when alone in the office. Before a meeting, participants are expected to, amongst others, practice hand hygiene, stop at a mist fan, after which they can enter the conference room where physical distancing is observed.
We have 5 sites in Yaoundé which are disinfected twice weekly. As concerns the non-respect of barrier measure, we have focal points who have evaluated the situation. That's why we are doing a massive test for COVID-19 at the delegation. When someone in an office is tested positive, his office mates are also required to do the rapid test. All positive cases are put on quarantine.
Though the eye of the camera reminds some people of the need to wear their face masks, others are responsible enough to abide by the regulations to oust the very present and invisible enemy, COVID-19.
And now we'll take this press release, just getting into our newsroom from the Presidency of the Republic. The head of state has designated Mr. Samuel Vondo Ayolo, Minister Director of the Civil Cabinet at the Presidency of the Republic, as his personal representative during the funeral of Mr. Adum Gargum, Minister Delegate to the Minister of External Relations, in charge of relations with the Islamic world. He died today, March 8, after an illness. On to another story. The first group of 500 Nigerian refugees who have willingly chosen to return to their homeland have left the far north region today. The barge amongst 5,000 hit the road to Nigeria with a consignment of food items and other basic commodities offered them by Cameroon's head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya. Ebenezer Akanga is on special assignment in Marwa. Here's his report.
The departure of the convoy of the first group of Nigerian refugees was officially given on the esplanade of the Far North Governor's office in Marwa. The departure was supervised by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji. The first group is made up of 500 refugees from 113 families. They were visibly happy to return to their country, and they were even happier for the donation made to them by President Paul Biya. The donation is made up of food items and sleeping materials. It will enable the refugees to start life when they return to their country.
We are receiving now presently in front of the governor's office 12 well-loaded trucks carrying relief material from His Excellency President Paul Biya to the Nigerian refugees who are living in Cameroon. President Paul Biya has once again shown the sign of a great statesman who is always very, very close to those people who are in difficulties.
Some 5,000 Nigerian refugees in the Minawao refugee camp have willfully decided to go back home. The repatriation exercise will continue till all the 5,000 are taken back to their country.
In diplomacy, Cameroon and France have begun discussing the security situation in Africa and the Central African Republic in particular. This was during an audience granted the French ambassador to Cameroon, His Excellency Christophe Guilou, by External Relations Minister Mbela Mbela. Here's the French diplomat on the key issues discussed today.
The main topic of the discussion was Central African Republic. The exchange views in light of the recent meeting of the UN Security Council. And first of all, I thank Cameroon and the Cameroonian authorities for their policy towards Central African Republic, the way they manage also and the welcome, and the people of Cameroon welcome the refugees from Central Africa, not only today, but also yesterday. It's a very generous welcome. And we discussed and we exchanged views about recent initiatives regarding the situation in CAF from sub-regional and regional organizations. That was most of the subject that we raised, the Minister.
We apologize for the approximate sound quality of that interview. We'll now take you to the West region, where the farming season is on, and the bulk of farmers who are women are elated to receive farm inputs. The benefactor is the Deputy Secretary General at the Prime Minister's Office, Professor Pascal Ngihe Kante. Chanceline Nanze reports on the donation.
The gifts comprise 600 bags of organic manure, 300 kilograms of bean seed, plus 2 tons of maize seeds certified by the Institute of Agricultural Research for Development, IRAD. The beneficiaries from the Bafoussam 1, Bafoussam 2 and Bafoussam 3 subdivisions received their packages from the hands of the spouse of the donor, Mrs. Estelle Leah Kante, and administrative authorities who urged them to make judicious use of the inputs. An expert from IRAD briefed the farmers on the farming method to use to ensure a bounty harvest. The recipients, among them the ruler of Bamungum, Chief Mumbe Fotso Mitterrand, thanked the donor, Professor Pascal Ngihe Kante, and prayed for the gods of Bamungum to bless and replenish his pockets. It was also an opportunity for the population of the Mifi division to be sensitized on the importance of respecting the coronavirus barrier measures.
From the west to the northwest region, women and girls lodged at the Bamenda Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Center have described their living conditions as largely comfortable. Most of them are mothers and pregnant women who say they received regular medical care and did their antenatal visits on time. They expressed themselves as it marked Women's Day at the center, characterized by some sporting activities. Kilo Mvareli Sala tells us more.
Most of these young women at the Bamenda Disarmament, Demobilization and Reintegration Center are partners of former separatists lodged in the same facility.
I was in the bush with my husband. When he came here, they threatened to kill me with the children. When my husband left the bush, it was not really easy because the ambers were hunting me. And then I was having a little boy on the hand. They were hunting to kill even the child.
Most of them are either pregnant or mothers, rendering their health situation delicate.
The doctors visit constantly. When a woman is pregnant, we make sure that her timetable for clinic and all of that is well respected.
Officials at the facility point to 196 former separatist fighters currently harbored at the Bamenda DDR Center. There are 27 women. 3 have given birth in the structure since 2020.
On today's developing story, the recent leak of videos showing immoral conduct from some students of government bilingual high school Kribi reveals the falling quality and morals once administered in schools. Such indecency warrants the questioning of the kind of education offered in schools, but also the level of parental guardians. Beatrice Lawsamba ponders over such appalling degrees of moral decadence. We shall be having Beatrice's report on the appalling degrees of moral decadence. We think her report is ready now.
The videos shocked society. School children in extremely trading-off circumstances display improper and messy acts directly inside the classroom right here in Cameroon. Many point a finger at schools for not doing their job. Schools seem to have gone on a sex education curricular break, and discipline seems to have been discarded.
Fraud breeds fraud. When you want to have recruitment, what we do here is a commission for recruitment. At times, not just going through the dossiers, at times the principal and the team, they have to invite the parents and the children to really see the morphology.
The act happened in the absence of teachers, when these idle minds became a devil's workshop.
For them not to get involved in deviant acts,
Here in College Ontabi, we have many activities that we involve our students in. At times, we have activities like manual labor.
From such immoral conduct, it is clear moral decadence in schools must be addressed urgently. But schools cannot do it alone. Parents need to create time to answer questions the adolescents are asking about their sexuality.
The state of Cameroon is me and you. We should all talk to these children, make them our friends, talk to them. Most often than not, that is a joker. That is the highest coefficient.
The parents are always convocated. So there is a link, a tight relationship between the administration, the school, the teachers themselves, and the parents.
And the hope is that the state too will take a broader look, hold schools more accountable in a digital age when children learn faster than their age, and in the process engage in acts that lone grown-ups and wedded couples ought to be discovered doing.
On Women's Day festivities in the regions in the West, just like in the Adamawa, women used the celebration to advocate increasing gender parity. They were challenged to take up leadership positions in their communities in the course of debates and roundtable conferences. Romeo Kenny has a roundup of the activities in the West, Adamawa North and Far North regions.
Since of the March pass, women in Adamawa region decided to use this day, reflect on common issues that bind the women folk. In a roundtable conference, the rights of women and educational talks on reproductive health featured on the agenda. In Garua North region, the need for women to take up leadership roles in the society was echoed during an exchange coordinated by Governor Jean Abate Edi. Women of the region have also been told to educate their children on social issues. Over in Marua, chief town of the Far North region, women meditated on possible ways on keeping the dreaded coronavirus pandemic at bay, with many answering present at workplaces. Women here equally seized the occasion to exhibit the different traditional artifacts the region is endowed with. In a symbolic event presided over by West Regional Governor Awa Fonka Augustine, women in Bafusam have been challenged to be hard-working. Meantime, outstanding women from all walks of life in the region have received distinctions. Curtains were drawn on the event with the handing over of food items to some women at the grandstand.
The absence of the March 8 parade in the Central region did not deter women from giving meaning to the International Women's Day. Focus was laid on educative talks on pathologies like cancer, HIV and AIDS, and the coronavirus. In the littoral South and East regions, extracurricular activities and culinary art were exhibited. Gerard Nanjieyambe reports.
Unlike in the previous years, the Beseke ceremonial ground in Douala was void of any activity. This, however, did not prohibit the women from putting on their fabric. Others respected appointments for radio programs to articulate the plight of women amidst the current health stakes. A mini trade fair in Bonanjo to encourage homemade brand characterized the day. In strict compliance of the anti-COVID-19 barrier protocols, women in the South region converge on Our Lady of Fatima Parish in Ebolowa to take part in a special mass to mark the day. The Bishop of the Ebolowa Diocese used the occasion to salute the women for their works while encouraging them to stand firm in their faith in God.
I invite all the women to live in love, and with this love we can put the best for our life and for our country.
The women prayed for the return of peace to the restive Northwest and Southwest regions. In Betwa in the East region, 20 vulnerable women received foodstuff to celebrate with their families. The activity was chaired by the wife of the governor of the East region, Nathalie Mvongo.
Despite our efforts, COVID-19 plunged many families into mourning and seriously hampered the functioning of our economy and society.
As women are honored in all their diversities today, what role should they play in the fight against the deadly coronavirus? Definitely a lot, as the education of the younger generation and the teaching by example lies on their shoulders. Baldwin Sama and his guest, Francisca Moto, of the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, tell us more from the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin.
Good evening, Esther Kima. They play an important role in molding a very active society, and they are equally expected to play an important role in the ongoing national fight to limit the spread of COVID-19. We are talking about women on the occasion of this year's International Women's Day. How involved should Cameroonian women be in this ongoing fight against COVID-19? Let's find out from our guest, Madame Francisca Moto. She's Sub-Director for the Protection and Promotion of the Family in the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Promotion of the Family. Good evening, Madam.
Good evening, Baldwin.
Explain to us how involved should the Cameroonian women be in these ongoing fights to limit the spread of COVID-19?
Women are very important in this ongoing fight. First of all, at the level of the family, they are caretakers, so they are supposed to apply the barrier measures and bring other family members to do same. At the level of the community, they are members of groups, whether religious, whether cultural or social groups. They're supposed to use all those avenues to sensitize their fellow members, women, men, and even young people to respect those barrier measures. And also, as professionals, whether they be health workers, those we are encouraging them for the work they are already doing, but those in decision-making positions or places of influence, they're supposed to initiate and even push actions or activities to make sure that barrier measures are respected. And so basically, women are very important at all levels.
Thank you so much, Madam Francisca Moto, for explaining to us the key role that women should play in this ongoing fight against COVID-19. We want to appreciate what most women have been doing so far in this fight against COVID-19, while calling on other women to emulate the example of the other Cameroonian women in this ongoing fight. Just like you, Esther Kima, women get involved in the national fights to limit the spread of COVID-19. Back to you, Esther Kima.
Thanks, Baldwin. And if they are fully involved, we're sure we can eradicate the coronavirus pandemic from our society. The festive part of the Women's Day was a relish for some women of public administrations and enterprises. In strict respect of prescriptions to hold the spread of COVID-19, they gathered in groups of less than 50 to celebrate. Joyce Tata was out in some joints in Yaoundé and now reports.
Dressed in their fabric with a good hairdo, the women at the Yaoundé 2 Council carefully listened to talks on how to keep safe during this health crisis period. An initiative of the mayor to make sure the ladies receive the right information on their day. At the Chamber of Agriculture, a special treat for the ladies as hierarchy describes them as the bedrock of the institution.
The chamber accompany many women. The women are are those who give lives. That's why we are celebrating. We are celebrating the Women's Day.
Same vision for the women of the group enterprise. No march past, but the wining and dining in love remains. This time around, while viewing images of ladies who have stood out in society, making the gender proud.
This situation is not really easy for everyone because of the pandemic, but she really encourages us, like us as women, and we are here as a family, so we can eat and enjoy.
Who says the day is only for women? After everything, most women wave off the quietness of the day, putting on their dancing shows, a happy celebration for the mothers of humanity.
And for women of the Center for Endoscopic Surgery and Human Reproduction, CRTV, sports and fitness was on their agenda during a long walk from Bastos to the hospital headquarters with Professor Jean-Marie Cassia. They pledged to work for women's health. Inangakebi reports that free gynecological screening begins tomorrow at CRTV.
As early as 5:30 a.m. this day, Women's Day, the women of Krasser and their general manager, Professor Jean-Marie Cassia, converged on the Bastos main roundabout for Keep Fit exercises and sports walk. Guided by the ambulance, they covered the itinerary from Bastos through Dragage and to the esplanade of the hospital center.
This is the Women's Day, and it's normal that in all the activities that we are going to run in Krasser, we support the women in her life.
It was exciting as they tried to respect the barrier measures against the COVID-19 pandemic during the moment for aerobics. Though void of public manifestations, Krasser opens its doors this Tuesday for free gynecological screening as part of Women's Day activities.
We are going to screening of gynecological cancer, and we are going to offer them free. So it is very important for us, as the First Lady used to say, we have to support the women.
Women's Day 2021 goes down in history as one limited in color and fanfare due to the COVID pandemic. Women must therefore join in the fight against the pandemic if they wish to recover their glorious celebrations of Women's Day.
In this advertorial, Tradex has a no-fuel retail station in the town of Sangmilima in the South region. The station, situated at Akonevia neighborhood, was unveiled by the commercial head, Emmanuel Tamga. Clarence Aze has the details.
Here comes the new ultra-modern Tradex fuel station. The town of Sangmilima is privileged to host this seat filling station constructed by Tradex, a subsidiary of the National Hydrocarbons Corporation of Cameroon, SNH, in the South region.
Sangmilima construit pour nous.
Sangmilima is a very important town which was in dire need of our services as expressed by the population. We are happy today that the long-awaited dream is now reality, and we are here to offer quality services to the population. Constructed over a surface area of 1,150 meters square, the gas station has a storage capacity of 60,000 liters of fuel, super and gasoil, 10,000 liters of petrol, and 300 tanks of 12.5 kilograms of butane gas. It also has fuel dispensers, a lubrication point, a shop, waste oil separation unit, offices, and a washing point.
La zone a complètement changé.
This place used to serve as a makeshift washing point, but today it has been completely transformed and attracting other businesses as well.
Le petit commerce et beaucoup d'emplois indirects.
The population of the town are quite excited as Tradex Sangmilima will support government's policy to ensure uninterrupted fuel supply to Cameroonians.
As Tradex is here in Sangmilima, we are very happy. We are getting more than two days or 3 days here. There is no petrol. We know that now everything will be free for got petrol and the kerosene.
The fuel station has offered 15 direct jobs to youth in Sangmilima, and officials of the company say prospects are underway for the construction of a second station in the town as Tradex spreads its tentacles across Cameroon and beyond.
And we end this newscast on this sad note. The Prime Minister, Head of Government, His Excellency Joseph John Gutey, announces with deep regret the death of Mr. Adam Gagum, Minister Delegate to the Minister of External Relations, in charge of relations with the Islamic world, on Monday, the 8th of March 2021, after an illness. Mr. Adam Gagum has served Cameroon with dedication, commitment and loyalty as a member of government. The Prime Minister extends the deepest condolences of the entire government to the bereaved family, to which he associates his compassionate sympathy. It is signed by the Director of the Cabinet of the Prime Minister's Office, Confiance Balungeli Ebune. And that ends this edition of the 7:30 News. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Adan Bala. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. God willing. Stay tuned to our programs on CRTV and CRTV News. Good night.
I urge you once again to put on your face masks, to wash your hands regularly, and to consult a physician or any other health personnel if you notice any symptoms. This is the only way to save lives and to curb the spread of the virus.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.